ke nna ke tshwereng phethe mina manje qhuba mina manje. We can't allow things to go the way we don't want it. We are introducing the next phase of Nasi Span. This round of Nasi Span is completely different. This round of Nasi Span goes to the heart of our problems. The second round of Nasi Span, we've spoken to all our technical schools, we've spoken to all our TVET colleges, we've spoken to all our universities. When school closes, when university closes, when TVET colleges closes, mfuna wonke amalova, they must go to TVET colleges, they must go to universities. I will pay them to be taught there to paint. I will teach them. I will pay them to be trained to be bricklayers. I will pay for them to be painters. I will pay for them to be welders. And when they graduate, government will no longer go on a tender for a painter. Government will no longer go on a tender for a bricklayer. Government will never go on a tender for people to build RDP houses. Those that were finished training will go and build RDP houses and hand it over to our people. That's how you empower society. That's how you empower communities. That's how you create jobs. I'm ready and no one will stop me. Let those tenderers confront me. I'm ready to confront them because we must empower our communities. Itenda isibulele, itenda yenzi corruption. It's now to train our people. It's now to empower our people. And that moment is now.
Well, good evening, South Africa. Or at least those of us who still have the strength to face mornings and evenings, even though as a Spani, yes, friends, we are gathered here today not to mourn a career, but to roast one. Premier Panyaza Lesufi's, or should I say Ghost Doofies, disappearing act on youth employment. That's right. The Gauteng ANC Youth League has finally had enough. Taken them a while. After years of dating Lesufi's empty promises, they've realized this relationship has all the ingredients of a true South African telenova. Betrayal, gaslighting, and 1.8 billion rands returned to Treasury because I guess no one needed that money. But wait, 1.8 billion just chilling there. Health and education departments, no thanks, we're good. Youth unemployment, please sir, may I have some scraps? Lesufi, oops, my bad. This isn't a premier. This is an absentee boyfriend with a trust fund who keeps promising to take you to Dubai, but shows up with a Nando's voucher that's already expired. ANC Youth League chairperson Ntsako stood up and said, "Our dignity has been stripped." Sir, I think the word you're looking for is snatched, suffocated, and stomped on by budget incompetence. And then just when you think the drama is over, enters ANC Youth League Secretary Mpumi Sangweni with what might be the most toxic confession of the year. We love Premier Lesufi, but he doesn't love us back. That's not political loyalty. That's Stockholm Syndrome. Anyway, what part of he returned 1.8 billion during a youth unemployment crisis screams is love. I've seen more commitment from Eskom during load shedding stage 10. Now, the youth are saying the time for polite requests is over. Finally, because asking Lesufi nicely was like politely asking a goat not to eat your garden. Cute, but ineffective. And of course, Lesufi, the eternal politician, in his infinite wisdom, said he's viewing his options for 2027. Translation: if the whole, rather, pardon me, So, as speaking of Lesufi, is speaking about viewing his options for 2027, which would translate to, if this whole Premier of Gauteng thing doesn't work out, I might just apply for influencer status on TikTok or become the ambassador for disappearing budgets. Hi, I'm Panyaza Lesufi for underspent. The fragrance of missed opportunities. Smell that. It's 1.8 billion rand we could have used to fix youth unemployment, but didn't. But to be fair, Lesufi has always been consistent, consistently ignoring the youth, consistently ignoring certain sectors of society, like white people, consistently ignoring the pleas of parents by pushing for the very evil Bella Bill, which is the Basic Education Amendment Act of 2025. Very, very wicked man he is. Now, he's consistently been over-promising and under-delivering, and consistently speaking like a motivational speaker at a funeral. Lots of hope, zero solutions. Honestly, at this point, the ANC Youth League should just ghost Lesufi the way he ghosted job creation. Block him on WhatsApp, archive all his budget promises, and swipe left on that leadership. Because the only top 7 Lesufi belongs in is a BuzzFeed listicle titled 7 Ways to Frustrate the Youth Without Technically Breaking the Law. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this does not make the ANC Youth League any better. The ANC Youth League, pardon me, as I was saying, this doesn't make the ANC Youth League any better. The ANC Youth League, a very meek organization that has lost its teeth. It's like a dog that barks because it's got vocal cords but can't bite because it lacks teeth. Now, understand me, ladies and gentlemen. The ANC are just so pathetic, you know. I've got nothing to say, honestly. I mean, I read the news. I mean, at least they create material for us to publish. I mean, let's just be clear. But from a country's point of view, it's crap. It's crap. Here we are arguing about useless organizations like the NYDA, arguing about youth unemployment, arguing about... We're just being clouded by total trash, while there's still an unspoken attack from Lesufi against the white sector in our country. You've got illiterate people like Nziki Mazwai. Yeah, I should not even go too deep into it, but nonetheless. So, to the youth of Gauteng and the beautiful white people of Gauteng, hang in there. It's tough being in an abusive relationship, but at least now it's public. Just remember, us is Spani, but we do have receipts. As well as, ladies and gentlemen, let us speak about a very, very dangerous thing that's been going on in Gauteng, which is the government renting out buildings that are not even being used by government departments. I mean, your taxpayer money is going to fund some comrade somewhere who lives in Sandhurst, who drives Bentleys, and who owns a building that no one works in. There is no secretary inside. There is absolutely no one. We are paying millions and millions of money. The government owns, in Gauteng, let alone KZN, the government owns thousands of properties. But many of those thousands are not being used, are not being utilized correctly. It's unfortunate. It really is. It really begs one to ask the question, if we had a government that was not as insulting as this one, a government that really cared for its people, who would get rid of some of these buildings, or rather stop leasing out buildings and use the buildings that we actually own. And this could lead to us cutting and saving on budgets and possibly cutting tax. possibly improving unemployment and, well, decreasing unemployment rather. But hey, who am I to speak or ask questions? Like Uncle Gwede Mantashe, the famous diesel engine from the ANC. You know, if you need to understand, Kathy, the way we run an economy is not as like you're running a spaza show. Well, let me tell you, Uncle Gweezy, you guys have done nothing to run South Africa's economy. Every form of equality measure that you bring just brings more inequality. Every form of transformation measure you bring just brings more unemployment, more economic collapse, and increases the possibility of having a recession in that year. But who are we to ask the question? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 10 minutes with Kuhle. I've been your host, Kuhle Maseko, as well as, before I forget, pardon me, we've got to rewind a bit. I was just about to click end, and I remembered. The Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, there's whispers of him running for the top 2 posts in the ANC, either president or deputy president, in the 2027 conference. And all I've got to say is that's utter crap. You know, you once got to sit and wonder and ask the question. He failed at DBE, Provincially Department of Basic Education. He failed as Premier. He failed. You know, he literally failed. He doesn't even need to finish his term. He has already failed. He's tried Nasispani, which was a total failure, total collapse to Gauteng's fiscus, taking our money, using it to fund ANC pro projects in government to only hire people for minimum wage and abuse them. Now, this man wants to run for president. You know, you can, I'm not making up these things. These things are there. It's crazy. Imagine one day having someone called President Panyaza Lesufi. Sounds like a joke, but could be possible if you don't vote the right way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the official end. Now, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, subscribe, and share, as well as consider becoming a member of the channel. It's as cheap as 20 Rand, as well as you can buy me a coffee. My bank details will be right here at the end where you can see them. And ladies and gentlemen, till next time, bye.
The Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has noted with great concern, he says, images circulating on social media of Gauteng's Nasispani initiative. Messages and videos have been circulating of reports that the process is a scam. Vuyo Maga is the spokesperson for the Premier and now joins us on the line. Vuyo, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. Tell us about the concerns that have been raised by some of these people, but also the investigation itself. How long will it take to ascertain whether or not there's any credibility to these allegations?
Well, thank you very much. Really, we have seen, I think, like the rest of the residents in Gauteng, where some of the videos were circulating. I think in the initial glance, I think it was around Nasrec. And I know at that time, the officials, to make sure that they fast track the assistance and the support to the applicants, they took some of the boxes so that people can then put their CVs and register their names. And of course, because of the nature of the process and really the panic of the people, they might have been tiered, but those ones, at least, would have taken them to a different box and made sure that the applicant have actually registered. So that work is being done by being captured by the data processors, who will actually communicate with the applicants within 14 days. But we are quite in as to say that if within 14 days we have not communicated with yourselves, you are at liberty to apply, because we have opened the application up until the 14th of July. But we do not want to take chances whenever maybe there are other areas that we are outside the Nazareth that I'm speaking about, because we had about 22 sites. But so far we have not received any area except that particular space, but we continue to look at it.
Yeah. From the PSA Live Twitter feed, that video that they've posted there also has car registration numbers. Are you able to confirm whether indeed these are officials who work for Gauteng?
No, they are not the officials of GPG, because majority of all officials were actually within, within the venue, in particular in Nazareth. That's what I'm saying. If I have to speak about that particular area where I know, because I was equally there. But in terms of the other areas, we have requested that the officials must to verify some of that information.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Vuyo Magade, who is the spokesperson for the Premier in Gauteng. And as he said, that it will take about 14 working days, he said. And after that, we'll get an update in relation to some of these allegations.